Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, or whatever time zone it is, wherever you in the world, it is your Lauren Xavier, with the final part of the exploration of the world of future darkness. And if this is your first foray into this, allow me to give you a very brief breakdown on what it is. In the late 1990s, there was the White Wolf magazine that had many issues. Issues 36 to 38 had an interesting little tidbit known as the World of Future Darkness, where it took some of the themes and ideas of Cyberpunk 2020, the classic role-playing game of the dark future, that sexy bitch right there, and shoehorned in elements of Vampire the Masquerade into it, and given the year that this specific issue was released, this would have been Vampire the Masquerade 2nd Edition. However, I do not possess Vampire the Masquerade 2nd Edition, but I do have its much younger and more popular cousin, Vampire the Masquerade 20th Anniversary Edition, which is important because we're going to be doing some combat today using this edition. Lovely stuff. Now, how exactly are we going to be doing this? So, if we come over to the PDF screen that I've prepared for you, like a fucking episode of Blue Peter, you can see that we have the very first issue that included the Cyberpunk or Cybervamp or Cyberfang material. Cybervamp is the superior name that I conjured up. This and the other page has like all the tidbits like for cyberware and gear and whatnot, and how to incorporate that into Vampire the Masquerade, which I'm going to be referring to, but you're not going to see it all that much. But the other interesting thing is, well, to me at least, I have designed a character with my partner, which we did a few weeks ago. It was a lovely use of our date night, I'm not going to lie. And what we decided together with various dice rolls and whatnot is conjured up a Malkavian belonging to the Anarchs, whose name is Cobweb, that uses it and its pronouns. If you don't like the mentioning of pronouns or it gives you the heebie-jeebies, fuck off, mate, you're not wanted. And they are a net-running weapon tinkerer. And here are the stats. You've got some disciplines here down on the side. I put in Fortitude because I had some points to spend during the experience, spending point at the end of the character creation, and I had the idea that being somewhat of a devious netrunner, that it would reflect within the Curse of Cain, the vampiric side of things, of an increased fortitude of the mind, so to speak, and that would probably how it manifests itself. This other traits thing down here has got like other weapons and things, got the little gear things and whatnot, and a number of eddies, Eurobucks, whatever, little tidbits that I can refer to from the book itself. And we also have the humanity. Now, you may notice that the virtues don't quite add up to 6. Knowing how character creation works in the 20th Anniversary Edition, if you don't know what I'm talking about and want to learn, there's a card that's going to pop up there right now. And the way that works is that there's a certain little equation and dice rolls that you have to do to work out how much humanity you lose, and because of the different things we have installed, we lost a dot of humanity, which is rather unfortunate, but in the same time, it makes a lot of sense. So you might be wondering at this point how exactly this is all going to work, because I could just show you this screen as I play out this bit of combat. I even have some physical dice prepared, and that one's gone on the fucking floor. Fantastic. I could just show you this screen, but I don't think that's particularly engaging. Now, it might be to you, which is fantastic, but I think we need a bit more excitement to this. So, using Canva, which is what I use to make my thumbnails and on occasion some videos, I have prepared a little setup for you. I've uploaded one of the data pack things from Cyberpunk RED that has a load of maps. You can check that out and a link in the description below. You get that using that specific link. I get some of the money back to help support the channel so I can do more adventurous things like this. What we have here is a little setup that I have envisioned. It's nothing particularly fantastic. Over here, with this particular vampire with a portrait by the artist Mark Kelly, who's done a lot of artwork for Vampire the Masquerade, this is going to be our Malkavian. Now, they are trying to retrieve some information from this terminal here, but Cobweb here is unaware that Mrs. C. Lit is still working, and that she is guarded by 2 security guards. Now, Cobweb does not know anything else regarding this place, and that's where the rest of this solo stuff's going to come in. I'm going to be using a handy little book called Mythic GM Emulator, 2nd edition, written by Tanner Pigeon, a friend of the channel, where basically you can take any role-playing game and play it by yourself. It was actually this that inspired me to write my own homebrew for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, the Aurtakis Storyteller, which is similar but very different. Check that out in the description below. You can purchase it on the Storyteller's Vault. But rather than have too many PDFs open all at once and just waste my time doing all of that, I'm just going to be wasting my time flicking through a few pages of this gorgeous hardback. Lovely stuff. As for the scenario here, as I said, we are in this building, we are trying to find out some interesting information. What that information is, I don't know. We will ascertain that nearer the time. So Cobweb is going to naturally explore, he says gesturing at the screen where you can't see me pointing, he's going to naturally explore some of the rooms here. It is going to explore some of the rooms here. So, we're going to move Cobweb there, because this looks like an important office thing. Now, just to very understand how this works, there's a whole table here that you can use with Mythic. It's called a fate chart, and there's a whole complicated one that uses like percentile things and whatnot, but we're not going to do that. We are going to be using the simplified version, and for that I'm going to be using a red die and a blue die to simulate the different numbers so I can easily see, and because counting and maths is not my strong point despite being autistic, I'm a disgrace to my people. So what we're going to do are deciding the odds of seeing if this door is locked. So the chaos factor, which is a mythic thing, I cannot be bothered to explain that right now, at the beginning of the first scene is at 5. Right, and when it moves on to the next scene, that may go up and down, but there is not going to be another scene. This is going to be the scene. So that's going to be stuck at 5, so there's going to be no modifier on that front. Is this door likely to be locked? I think it is very likely, given the fact this is after hours at night. So I come down to here with roll modifier, very likely +2 to whatever I roll here. Okay, so I've got a 6 and a 4, that makes 10. +2 is 12. Then we come over to the fate check answers. 11 or more means yes. So this door here, right in front of us, is locked, which we can also ascertain that there isn't anybody else inside. So what happens here is that Cobweb is like it's filling, like pushing on buttons and whatnot, or seeing if there's like a lock thing and finds that the thing is locked. So what they're going to do now is they're going to attempt to open the door. And in order to do this, we come over to my character sheet here, which I have a physical version printed out here. Lovely stuff. And that requires a dexterity and larceny, for which I do not have any dots in, which is going to be very interesting. But in my dexterity, I have a specialty in precise fingering, which can be used in many different ways. So what this means is that I have 4 dots in dexterity. So I have a dice put of 4. But I add a other die because I have a specialty in it. However, because this is a skill that I do not have any dots in, I add a difficulty of 1. So, whether this be a standard difficulty of 6, I'm now looking for a standard difficulty of 7. So, on my D10, I need 7 and higher to crack the lock. So, exciting roll, first roll of the session, and I'm actually going to fiddle this around just like so. So, the dice tray's a bit closer for this intense rolling. Okay, so I've got a 5, a 5, a 5, a 3, and a 0. The 0 side being a 10. I don't know why I said that, but there you go. So that was not a particularly fantastic roll. But as we got a success, it does mean that it happens. However, I think that what this means is that it takes quite a while, and Cobweb is being quite noisy with it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that one of these guards here doesn't hear what's going on. So I'm actually going to use another mythic roll to ascertain this. Do they hear this? It's possible. What do we have here? It's a 50-50, so they either do or they don't. There isn't like a possible variant here, so 50-50, there's no modifiers across this, so I just roll the numbers and add them together and see what happens. Okay, so 2 9s, so that's 18. We come over to the fetch check answers, so an 18 to 20 is an exceptional yes, which means not only did they hear it, but they are on alert, which is a fucking fantastic start. So what this is, they are gonna, this guard here is gonna shout out someone along the line, like, "Oi, who's there?" Which is going to alert Cobweb. Now, Cobweb, who has managed to get to the door, is going to quickly step inside as Guardface McGee is going to be making their way down here. Now, What Cobweb is going to do, aware that there's now people looking for them, we're going to employ a vampiric discipline. Specifically, Obfuscate, which is sort of an invisibility, but not really. What Obfuscate is, it's to cloak one from the mind's eye, so it's forcing the mind of the weak-willed, so to speak, to forget that they're there, sort of thing, which I think anybody who was somewhat of a recluse or a loner during their formative years would really appreciate it. It has two dots in Obfuscate, and I'm going to activate Unseen Presence, which doesn't require any roll. Does it require any blood point expenditure? It does not. Okay, which also reminds me, I haven't ascertained how many blood points that they have, because the 13th generations can have a maximum of 10, but we simply decide this by rolling a d10. And they do not have, they have a dot in domain, so they add, I think they add an additional dot. I don't remember. Let's just to quickly go through this. That plus 1. It's not how it works, but fuck it. I can't be asked to check the book. 3. So they have 4 dots, which is fantastic. Some sexy points right there, and some sexy paper rustling. So Guardface McGee is walking down through here and is going to go into the door there. Now, other guard face here is going to be, like, move in front of the door here. Now, the question is, I don't think Cobweb is going to quickly lock the door behind them, because that's going to break their obfuscation. So they are just going to, quite the nervous individual, I say, given the little courage that they have, they are just going to move over there. Now, this will allow Godface Mickey to step into the room, and is obviously aware because this door was locked. Now, I'm going to quickly check on my PDF here of the Cybervamp thing to see how Obfuscate will work here, because they may have some sort of like a module in their eye that will allow them to see them. Actually, come to think about it, cameras and whatnot are usually could see through Obfuscate, which isn't mentioned here, and it's a 5th edition thing at least. Skim through it here, it doesn't appear so, but I think, well, let's do a roll for it. Let's actually decide to see how useful that would be. Can this tech see through? I think it's very likely. So you'll find with solo role-playing that a lot of your gaming will actually involve setting the scene, so to speak, because you have to simulate the role of GM and player here, which I enjoy quite a bit, and as a result, I do it quite a lot. So I think it is very likely that this, the tech, whatever cyber fiending they have in their eye, will penetrate through Obfuscate. So I'll say it is very likely, which has a +2 modifier. Chaos factor is 5, so there's no additional one there, so just +2 to what we roll here. So that's 2 4s and 8, which is a 10. So 10 or less is no, which is very interesting. So in our world of cyberpunk, or the world of future darkness, I should say, whatever fancy tech shit they got going on their eyes cannot see them. So as this is happening, Techface McGee is like standing in the middle of the room, like probably at one point looking right at Cobweb, scanning the room, like having a little patrol around the room, like so. Maybe like poking their head through that door to make sure that nobody's hiding in there, and they will probably leave. Now, Cobweb has an opportunity. Cobweb, I think, if feeling ambitious, will want to try and go up to them and take them out really quickly. It will minimise some like the head-to-head combat later on, which I feel requires some sort of dexterity and stealth roll. Because sure, they may be able to get up them behind them, but when they deploy their cyberware, their wolvers, which as the name would imply, like Wolverine claws, they don't have like additional arms or whatnot, they just go straight into the bone sort of thing. That is obvious, I feel, will break their obfuscation, so I'm going to do a dexterity plus stealth roll. Now, my precise fingering specialty does not apply here, so dexterity, I have 4 dots, stealth, I have 1 dot, and I'm going to say this is going to be a difficulty of 4, just because of the very nature of this. Actually, no, I'm going to make it 5, 1 less, because the guard here is alert, but because they can't see them, they're it's the awareness of the vampire in the room has been dropped somewhat. So that's 5 dice here, difficulty of 5, so I'm looking for results of 5 and higher. Okay, you've got 2 8 to 7 9. Oh, okay, so that's 5 successes, so that does it really well. So what's going to happen here? Cobweb has not as very successfully snuck up behind them, like so, has deployed their Wolvers, and I think they're just going to go right in the neck there. Now, I should roll for damage here, and I think just to demonstrate this point here, me as a storyteller, if that had happened in-game, I wouldn't get the player to roll for damage, but just to show how this works here, I think we should. So, looking at the cyberware thing on the homebrew, the Wolvers do damage is strength plus 3. So what that means is, if I go back to Canva, they have 2 dots in strength, so 2 dice, plus 3 for the Wolvers. So we're looking for 6 and higher. Botches and particular critical failures, as it were, do not apply here. So 6 and up is basically, well, let's see. Holy shit, that's another 5 damage. Just a load of 7s and a couple of 6s. So that is 5 points of superficial damage. Now, if this was a vampire, they could soak this with their supernatural blood, but a mortal cannot. And as this is in the neck, I don't think there's going to be like anything protecting them there, so to speak. I mean, if we use the portrait here as a literal example, there is not much protecting them here. So this would take them down to crippled if we use like the health system thing here. But as you've got blades in the neck, which is obviously going to break obfuscation for Cobweb here, this is going to outright kill them. So we have eliminated this guard right here, and I'm actually, just to make things a bit easier for myself, they're just going to disappear like that. Lovely stuff. Now, Cobweb is probably going to like try and go through their belongings to see if there's anything they can find. Now, this guard might have like a guard key sort of thing, so they can access different buildings, which would part of the building, which might make it easier to come through here. Or it might also belong to this one. Could be like a rank sort of thing. Who knows? Let's decide that. Do I think it's likely? I think it's very likely that they would have such a pass, because they're protecting, which I'm presuming is like a manager or the CEO of this company. So I think if they are on guard duty, standing outside of their room, I'd actually say that is nearly certain. So I'm going to roll these 2 dice again, and nearly certain means that we add 4 to this roll. 12 plus 4 is 16. 11 or more is a yes. So this individual does have like a pass sort of thing. Cobweb picks it up, probably expects it inquisitively, like puts it on their person, and I imagine the guard had a rifle on them as well, so they're now going to claim that rifle for themselves, which is going to make the combat a lot easier later on, which I think is going to be coming up right now. Question is, did this guard hear them be killed, like making sort of unpleasant sort of sort of noises? I think it's unlikely, to be honest, but it is possible. I say it's unlikely rather than very unlikely. So what this means is we have a negative modifier. Unlikely is a -1. Chaos factor is at 5, so we do not have any additional ones after that. So roll the 2d10. Oh, fuck me. I rolled 2 10s. What a time to get the double 10s here. Take 2 is 18, so it was an exceptional yes. So not only did they hear them, they probably saw it as well. Maybe like this being like, these are obviously toilets, but this door probably has like a window over there, and they probably saw that over the desks or whatever, or some bollocks like that, or they hit the ground like really. So this guard has now seen Cobweb. But Cobweb probably hasn't seen them, so the guard here is going to use their thing to get through into the door and probably start opening fire. And we're going to initiate combat. So the initiative rating is the dexterity plus the wit, plus whatever you roll on the d10. So what that means is, with Cobweb, their dexterity is 4, wits is 5, which in total makes 5. 4 plus 1 is 5. So I then roll a d10 and then add that to whatever the initiative rating is. So I rolled a 10. So their initiative modifier is 15. And I'm going to roll for the guard, who, for all this combat and stuff, I have 5 dice for them, because you really don't need much here, and it doesn't really matter. So they rolled a 2, so 7. So despite, like, initially having the edge on them, they run in and they probably, like, forget all protocols, like, freeze, motherfucker! Like, or something like that, and, like, holds up their weapon. But this gives Cobweb here a chance to act. Now, they can't use Obfuscate to hide away from this. They have to act here. And I think what we're going to do here with Cobweb, it's going to be a very bit of short combat, admittedly, apparently. because I'm going to use Dominate, which, as the name would imply, it is a power that allows one to dominate the weak wield. Now, Dominate does have a feature here with the Cyberpunk stuff. I saw it mentioned somewhere, and it mentioned in the beginning of the write-up for the first magazine here. Okay, so chips and whatnot, it doesn't affect its actual brain memory, as it were. So coming back to Canva, where I can operate the little tokens I have made, so to speak, Cobweb is going to just shout a one-word command, because they've only got one dot, and it's called command, and says stop. And that's what's going to happen here. Now, in 5th edition, you don't need to make a roll for mortals, but there isn't such a thing here. So, there is going to be a roll of manipulation plus intimidation here to get them to drop their weapon against their willpower. And as I said, the individual... We haven't got a character sheet for the goon here, or the guard, I should say. And I honestly think that their willpower is going to be a bit more if they're like some important security that's protecting Miss C. Lit. So I'm actually going to say their willpower is 7 for the duration of this. I may forget this, but for the time being, it's a willpower 7. So it's a what did I say it was? It was a manipulation and intimidation roll for Cobweb here. So manipulation is 4 again. We're on in a lot of 4 things here. And intimidation, what does they have? Nothing. There isn't a difficulty modifier here. It's just I roll these 4 dice. Difficulty 7. 3 successes, which is like the standard sort of like number that you need to hit with V20. So it happens. So the guard has now stopped, but hasn't stopped them from shooting, which I think is what the individual is going to do now. So they've stopped, yes, but they're going to shoot because there wasn't that like request here. Because, you know, Dominate works very literally. So this guard is going to open fire them. So, what's going to happen now is that with my 5 dice for the guard here, I'm going to roll these d10s. And it's going to be what's known as a contested roll. Because obviously, Cobweb would like to not get shot at. So, it's going to be the 5 dice I've collected for the guard against Cobweb's dexterity and athletics, which again I have no dots for. I built this character poorly for physical combat, but the thing is with V20 and games like this where story comes first, you build the person, you don't build them up for combat. I didn't want to build them up for combat anyway, because it would make it a bit more interesting. So with the guard we have 2 successes. Actually, there's a 1 here, and 1s in V20 remove one of those successes, so I'm going to remove the 9 just because it's the lowest. You don't have to do it like that. So there is 1 success, and that's on the 10. So, now with the Dex and Athletics, the 4 for Cobweb, because remember, they've got no Athletics, so I need to beat 1 success, which is doable, I think. Okay, so similar sort of outcome. 2 successes, but I've got a 1, so that takes away one of the successes, and I'm leaving the 10, so it's a tie. I knew I should have spent a point in willpower here. I was like, no, I won't need it. It's only 1 success. You can beat that. No. So, in the case of a tie, it goes to the active participant. So, yes, they are able to get round the corner, but they have been shot first. I say this is an automatic fire weapon. Okay, so should have increased the difficulty by 2 there, but whatever. Damage indicates the damage dice pool against mortals. Firearms are considered lethal damage, such as vampires are considered bashing damage unless head is targeted. So it's not. So, what this all means is that the damage pool is 7 dice. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, so it's like a flat 7 dice. You don't add any attributes to it. That's how I'm interpreting the rules here. So I'm going to be rolling here for damage. We're looking for 6 and higher. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes, bashing damage, which is fantastic. Now, it's not over yet, because remember, I said vampires could soak damage, and they are going to attempt to do this now with their stamina. But they also have fortitude, so they can add that dice to it as well. So, Cobweb has 2 dice in stamina, for stamina, and 1 for fortitude, so 3 successes is what I'm hopefully looking for to take that down by half. So 6 and higher to soak damage. And yes, I got 3 successes. So we are 1, 2, 3. So I've marked that down on the health character sheet. That was their turn. We're now back to Cobweb. Now, what on earth is Cobweb going to do? Because eye contact is probably being broken now, so they're going to, in their next turn, they are going to probably move around and catch up with Cobweb here as this gunshot's going on. And I think we can assume that they can hear this. Actually, can they hear this? You know what? I think, because this is an important target, an important room, I reckon that this is like soundproofed or whatever, or reinforced or whatever, so nobody can like just pop a shot through the door or whatever. So, going back to Mythic, I actually think that it's highly unlikely that they can hear this for their like own protection sort of thing. So yeah, very unlikely. So negative modifier for that of 2. 7 and 9 is 16. I can't do math. Take 2 is 14. 10, 11 or more. Yes. Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, so before we move back to Cobweb, they're going to put them in the initiative now. They're just going to be right at the bottom. They heard that gunshot happening. Is there like an alarm thing to call for reinforcements? I'd say that it's unfortunately likely that that's the case, like pushing a button under the desk sort of thing, like to call for backup. So yeah, let's roll that. +1. Oh, 2 1s. So 2 1s. So +1 is 3. 2 to 4. And hold on a moment. 2 1's an exception, no, because it's double digits on Mythic. It's a random event. I need to roll a D100 on the random event focus table. So basically, that's why I've got the 2 different colours here. I'm going to say that the blues are 10s. So 2, a result of 2, a remote event. Well, this makes sense. This is somewhat remote and detached. So they hear the gunshot. They're probably on there's probably a phone conversation or like a business meeting or whatever, and they're talking about some sort of information like money exchange or whatever. You know, something serious of that nature. Let's actually make a roll here on the meaning tables, descriptors 1 and 2, to generate a 2-word prompt. Again, blues are going to be 10s. 32. Where is that? Fearfully... 99. Fearfully weak. Okay, so... I reckon that this individual is not as powerful as they've been made... I've just deluded them to be, that they've been on a conversation with their boss, which is much higher up. Maybe it's to do with Arasaka or something, to make it... to really cement it as Cyberpunk, or they've gone bankrupt or something like that. Or maybe it's their father or so. Actually, I like that idea. It's a conversation with their father, like investing money into the company or whatever. They feel really weak and they have to go and like stand up for themselves, like to prove their honour or whatever, rather than just hiding behind a desk all the time. So I think as that happens, they hear the gunshot and they're kind of coerced or forced to take action. So the next turn, when I get round to doing them, they are probably going to get out of their office and like prove their father wrong, sort of thing. So yeah, that's how I'm interpreting that here, and that's gotten very spicy very quickly. See, I just love the chaos that these tables can bring. So we're back to my go, and we suffered just a few wounds, damage, the bashing damage, which doesn't have any negative modifiers for us yet. It's only when it gets to superficial, and we need to start to be a bit concerned about it. But Cobweb, with a single word, I'm trying to think what they can do here. I think at this point they're just going to have to try and rush up to the guard and just, shank him with the Wolvers, which I think is what they're going to do. But they need to, they can reach the distance for sure, but yeah, they need to run there. They've deployed the Wolvers. Rather than using the gun, which would be the sensible thing for them to do, it worked with the person that's there, so it's going to work with them here, right? Famous last words. So in order to do that, dexterity and... Oh, that's a good question. Dex and melee, as this is a weapon of sorts. So what we have here are 5 dice again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 for both of them, because as I said, we're just using a generic pool of 5 for this guard. Yeah, so standard difficulty is 6. The contested roll. 1, 2, 3, 4 successes. Okay. 4 and 2. Okay. Oh, actually that becomes 1 because one of those is a 1. So actually, hold on. I miscounted. Okay, so they actually have no successes. So good for me. So again, it was strength +3 to deploy the Wolvers, and I think they're just going to like try and get him in the chest sort of thing. Now, it's quite likely this individual is wearing some form of armour to protect themselves. Not much, I would have thought, because they would need some mobility. So what would this be? I'd say this would be a Kevlar vest of some description, which I'm probably going to regret very fucking quickly. And no, that should have a penalty of 1 for their dexterity, which I'll try and remember for next time. So, what this means is that it has an armor rating of 3. So I basically have... That rating of 3 is going to stop anything beyond... let 3 or less, basically. So in order to do this, I need a strength of 2 plus 3, because that's what we said. They are, so 5 dice again. To see if I can cause damage. Damn. It's a load of 10s. Unfortunately, that doesn't do the crit. Actually, 10s do crit here. I'm saying they're crit here. So, 4, 5, 6. That is 6 successes. So individual number 2, guard face, takes 3 points of superficial damage, and I'm just marking that here. 1, 2, 3. So they're now injured, I would say. So they have a -1 to mobility on top of the 1 from their movements. They actually have a -2. Cobweb has rushed over here, and I'm just going to put them on top here like so it's a bit easier to see. Also to simulate that they're on top of the guard, like sort of like pounced on them and like pushed them down with the thing. They've probably dropped their weapon and it's gone somewhere, and the guard is going to try and, you know, push them off. So this is probably going to be a strength and brawl. So this would be 5 dice for them, but with the -2 different modifiers, as we said, that they're actually going to be rolling 3 dice. And in retaliation, this is going to be a strength and brawl or back, I would say. So 3 dice for the guard, 2 successes. Okay, so 5 successes. 5 dice for Cobweb here. So 1, 2. Oh no, that's 3 dice as well. Oh, fuck me sideways. I'm going to spend a willpower point, which means is I'm going to get a automatic success that cannot be removed by 1s. So at the very least, I will have 1 success. So they had 1 success, so I've got to beat that, otherwise it's going to be a tie. 2 successes. Actually, no, 1 success, because there was a 1 that removed a success, but the automatic success from the willpower plus the success here is the 2 dice. So they're able to keep pins down on them some more. So unfortunately, they are not successful in removing that. I imagine Miss C. Lit here, in her turn, she's not going to be able to get to all of that in her turn because like movement speed or whatever. I'm not being exact with it, but I'm just trying to think what's logical, because she's going to very cautiously like get to her office door. She takes like a big breath, steps outside, and I think realistically that is where she's going to end up for her turn. Yeah, and I think in the next turn she'll probably like try and shoot through the door, because I imagine she's got like a pistol or whatever on her person that could sort all this out. Or we can design some cyberware for her later on, because she looks quite an expensive individual here. So we are down to back to Cobweb right at the top, and I think what's going to happen here is that Cobweb is, again, with their wolvers plunged into their chest. They're going to retract one of them, and they're just going to punch them straight in the face. And there's a chance here that they could dodge this. So how I'm going to like move their head out of the way sort of thing. And so what's going to happen here, that again, the guard's going to have 3 dice. But I'm going to make this a difficulty of 7 just because of their being the fact they're injured, they're pinned down, they can't really move all that well. You know, realistically, you can't move your head that far out of the way from all of that. So they're going to be rolling at difficulty 7 with their 3 dice. They got 2 successes, of course they did. So with the 3 dice with Cobweb, I'm going to take my chance with this. I'm not going to spend a point of willpower for this because they still got that in their chest. They're not going anywhere. Okay, what do we have? Ooh, we have a critical success. Fucking fantastic. We have the 2 10s, which is 4 and a 3. So yeah, that's 4 successes. So like, got them in the fucking face. And I've realised I've just been calculating damage wrong, so I should have added my additional successes to that. So what I mean by this is, so you only need the 1 success in this case. So there's 3 left over. So 3 plus the strength, which is 2, plus the 3 dice for the Wolvers, so that actually has a pool of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like so. And I know there's going to be at least one person who's going to correct me in the comments below, because I'm doing this all on the fly. I haven't really planned everything, and there's a dice down. Can I see if I can grab it with my feet? No, I can't. So banging down we go. So yeah, I don't really care. Like, it's more for the feel and the vibe of everything else, to be fair. So let's roll all these dice. 6 and above. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's another 5. Yeah, they're dead. Yeah, because they start gaining aggravated damage, and they're just fucked. Also, through the fucking face, like, they're dead. Like, it's very successfully through the fucking face like that, and they just sort of begin to splurge out. Which takes us to you. There's probably a yell of some description, and we've ascertained that these walls are particularly thin, or their hearing's particularly good, or maybe this person who was able to hear things a bit better with some sort of cyberware. So they are now going to... They've yelled, highlighting that to Cobweb that they're there, and they're just going to take a shot with a pistol. And because this individual, I'd say, is a little weaker than the guards, I'm actually going to give them a dice put of 3. Because they don't look like a fighter. Like, I don't think this person's fought a day in their life, sort of thing. So, dex and firearms. Well, 3 dice, doesn't really matter. Don't have a character sheet for them. 2 successes, and that's going to be... Actually... No, I'm not going to roll with Cobweb, because they're sort of on top of a person. That, yeah, I'm not going to make them roll for that. So, if we have a look at the pistol, that does damage. We need 4, a thing of 4. So, 6 and above, plus 5, plus the 1, because the 1 carried over with a success. What is that? It's a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh. That's 4 bashing damage. So, just tallying that up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if they take any more damage, it's start going to go over into superficial. But that doesn't really just stop Cobweb, which will probably spook them a little bit. But yeah, that takes us back to Cobweb. I will say, you know, they shot through the door. It's probably glass because, of course, it's cyberpunk. Cobweb, you know, sort of like pull the claws out, stands up, stop. Again, this is a... dominate command, so it's going to be manipulation, intimidation. There's no intimidation, just manipulation. So 4 dice here against their willpower, and I'm actually going to say their willpower is going to be 4, as we've ascertained they're quite cowardly. They don't, you know, they can go through with certain things, but regarding humans, they don't actually have a lot here. Mortals in Vampire the Masquerade tend to have like a willpower of 3 to 5 anyway. The guards are an exceptional example because of, you know, the prestigious nature of what they're doing. So I'm going to say the difficulty I'm looking for is 4 or higher, which is quite easy to beat. Yeah, so that's 2 successes. So actually, no, that's 1 success, because one of them is a 1, so I miscounted. So that takes the success away, so that's 1 success, but that's all that's needed. Cobweb is now walking through here. You know, maybe there's bits of the door left, and they walk through. There's going to be some sort of conversation now, like obtaining money, information, like who do you work for, sort of thing. They're probably going to find out that in actual fact they're not particularly as well off, but it does give Cobweb an interesting avenue into this company, whatever this company may be, and I think Cobweb will spare them providing this sort of exchange of service or whatever. And the way that the vampire will do that, they'll slit their wrist, give them some of their blood, and we now have C lit as a ghoul. So that really is a short summary of the combat. First of all, with Vampire the Masquerade 20th Anniversary Edition, but with a cyberpunk twist. Not much, admittedly, because, you know, things turned out to go very well in our favour, which I'm very grateful for. But, you know, there is a lot that you can do there. And as I'm doing all of this on the fly with no preparation whatsoever, as I said, you know, with Mythic here, stopping to search up the rules and things and whatnot, it's all very chaotic, and a lot with the solo stuff, you can't really focus too much on the details. You know, you have to like go with your gut and roll with it, and I got rules wrong, so it doesn't really matter, but you get a general feel about the combat in Cybervamp, the world of future darkness. And I would love to see and hear more of your stories about how you've integrated cyberpunk themes and whatnot into your games of World of Darkness, or vice versa, depending on your mood and outlook on life. Let me know in the comments below about all those different themes. Have you enjoyed this series as we reached the very end of it now? What's been your favourite bit? And have you purchased these magazines since we started? And if you again are unaware, I've left the magazines that all of this is included in the description below for you to purchase. And if you purchase with those links, I get some of the money back because I'm an affiliate on DriveThruRPG and by extension the Storyteller's Vault, which allows me to do more content like this and provide more interesting changes to the usual stuff I want to do, because I want to branch out a bit more, and I want to cover more lore stuff and more lore dives, and those books aren't fucking cheap. So all the help you can give me is greatly appreciated. But if you like this, like, subscribe, and share with your friends or anybody that is somewhat interested in the world of Future Darkness. And the next time that you hear somebody talk about this, you can show them these videos, and hopefully that will open their eyes and ears and their mind's eye to the glorious dankness that is the world of Future Darkness. And until next time, Chumbers, farewell.